the hospital used to be the mainstay for healthcare. And now what you're seeing is this incredible expansion of environments where you can deliver care. What hasn't grown dramatically is the talent for being in those different environments. Because sometimes I feel like there's an assumption, you're just going to love this candidate. Here's a candidate without having any understanding of what really would work for me. Makes me feel like we're not in a partnership.
Welcome back to Talent Hunters, where we explore insights and trends shaping the global recruiting and staffing industry. Want to build talented teams that drive your company toward big goals and big growth? Then this podcast is for you. And now, let's join the conversation with today's episode of Talent Hunters, brought to you by HireQuest. Connect with us at hirequest.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vince Holt, and I'm the host of Talent Hunters. And it is my pleasure today. We have Theresa Franco, the Vice President of Cancer Radiology Services at Nebraska Medicine, located in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, Theresa has more than 35 years of experience in cancer care. Nebraska Medicine hired her to build its stem cell and bone marrow transplant program. Recently, it has become the Fred and Pamela Buffett Cancer Center, which her team helped design and develop. Welcome, Theresa.
Thank you.
So, first of all, I read a lot about your background, and I'm just fascinated by your passion. I'm fascinated by your career choice. So could you take a moment, please, and explain to us really what inspired you on this journey?
Well, boy, that's a loaded question. I will admit, when I started on this journey, I wasn't jazzed. I was contemplating several career choices and actually just picked nursing because my older sister was one. And when I got into it, I was fascinated by so many things. Number one, the courage of people that I saw that needed care, number one. And a feeling that, with the right set of skills and the right education, I might be able to make a difference. But I didn't really get passionate, I think, about nursing until I started working with people who were really mission-driven, wanting to do something better than themselves. And so the team, physicians and other nursing colleagues and technical support and everything, it just made me feel like I could do it, that I could make a difference, and also that I would be on a lifelong learning path. And that was something that was really important to me.
So as you started down this journey, did you feel that it grabbed you and just pushed you or pulled you in to the point to where we've got to fight for this?
Oh, of course. The tougher the situation, the more challenging the patient, the more challenging the program, the more complicated the care. That was just so motivating. And for me, it wasn't that I ever felt like I was on an island, because I felt that I was a part of something that was special, and that I could make a greater contribution with others than I could alone.
I just get so humbled when I hear people like yourself that your whole life is about giving. And that just it embraces me. It really does. So thank you for what you're doing.
Well, Vince, I have to disagree with you on the giving part, because I feel like I received more from people than what I gave. And I think that's what kept me motivated to do more things, to get into leadership roles, because I felt that I was receiving and growing at exponential rates.
Yeah, you're a gift. You really are. So I come from the recruiting world, okay? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And clearly I didn't work in the medical industry when I got 38 years of recruiting. I worked in the technology world, not related to medical at all.
Mm-hmm.
Help me understand today, what's the state of healthcare hiring?
Uh, tough, because there are so many factors at play. What's happening in the healthcare industry? The technology is great, but it has to be partnered with discrimination, knowledge, and skills. The work itself is challenging from a standpoint of the explosion in the different environments where healthcare and care needs to be delivered. So, the hospital used to be the mainstay for healthcare. And now what you're seeing is this incredible expansion of environments where you can deliver care, whether it be in an outpatient setting, in a long-term care facility, in a rural community, in, insurance organizations. So the landscape for being able to be involved in the healthcare industry has just grown dramatically. What hasn't grown dramatically is the talent for being in those different environments. And so, the challenge is that people are stretched. They have difficulty sometimes keeping up with the pace and the expectations of what's coming at them. It really can be an incredibly stressful environment. And what you're particularly seeing in the nursing world is, high rates of stress, high rates of burnout, depending on support that's being given and resources that are delivered, high rates of turnover. So there are so many factors at play here. And then you look at what's coming down the road, the tsunami of the aging population and chronic disease. I mean, we're going to go from over 40 million people that are aging to 70 million people by 2030. So you've got all of these factors stacked up against each other that make the healthcare industry and the environments to deliver care very, very challenging.
Now, I understand that you're responsible for the hiring and training in your facility. Are there any trends that you're following at all that can help you find the talent you need?
Yes. What we have really done is we've looked at the pool, the supply chain, and have said, how do we take someone who isn't even interested at all and get them to be excited about a career in nursing? And so what we've done is we have really lowered the age that we're trying to attract to get them more interested of all the opportunities that await them by inserting them or putting them in situations where they can have exposure. So have gone beyond just the high school level to the junior high level to expose them to healthcare in our organization. And so that's one way to do that, is to grab people earlier, number one. Number two, we've also gone around to the other side and looked at what do we need to do from a diversity standpoint, because there's incredible opportunity in diversity to find a supply. So men's a target. Right now, a couple years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there were 7% males in the nursing field. Now there's almost 13%. So really trying to look at that trend and how do we really attract people from that gender, and then also the incredible need for diversity in relationship to making the field more culturally competent and more aware of all the elements that are at play from a diverse standpoint. The other thing is that we're really watching also how technology can help us. So, wearable devices, telehealth, AI, all those things really need to be trended, watched, and built upon because they can be incredible complementary assists to somebody like a nurse, which then helps reduce the amount of unprofessional burden and gives them a real opportunity to practice the way that they want to.
So I'm sure that you've dealt with recruiters throughout your career,
Yes.
whether it's looking for people or whatever be the case. What do you see? And this is a tough question, but I want to kind of throw it out there. What do you see is the weakness in the recruiting world today by the recruiters? Not just the ability, not finding help, but where could recruiters get better to help you?
Boy, that's a really good question. I think there's a couple variables that I would say. It appears sometimes the recruiters are more pushing or stressing the money aspects of the role. Bonuses, loan forgiveness. Many recruiters seem to be a little overly focused on pushing the money side instead of pushing other factors that I think are most important in really getting somebody for a long-term experience. And that's about what their ambitions are, what does their career path look like, and what pathways are available in organizations to help people really grow and stay relevant within an organization that they have. I also think pushing the opportunities that are available in particular organizations or in particular areas. I also think that I feel that we need to partner together better on presenting a comprehensive picture of what's available and what possibly can be from a potential. The other thing is that we also need on our end to be better at coming up with flexible options for work. Because, people are looking, the people that we're trying to recruit now have a very different idea of what they want their work to look like in terms of schedule, workload, flexibility, adaptability than what I really thought was important to me when I was, looking for the perfect job. So it's really, kind of changing both of our mindsets to come together around, we know that things are different, but we also know that, if you want to really be in a care environment, most jobs are going to require hands-on. And so this sense of remote work is taken off the table for a large majority of people who want to work in the nursing field. But I think we just need to work together a little bit more on understanding what each other's needs are. And I think the recruiters can do a better job of informing us this is what our typical person is looking for, and how can we do a better fit instead of what we often try to do is put a square peg in a round hole.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the recruiting world, and I come from the recruiting world, okay? So I get it. And there's people that care passionately about the match, much like you're requesting, than trying to push the talent that they've got. And it's a tough thing out there, and you know this because you're running into it every day. I mean, recruiters are trying to find solutions, and you're trying to find solutions, and sometimes we don't ask the right questions as recruiters. Because I've never been able to go into a company and provide them the perfect person without learning more about, I can provide a solution, but if it isn't the right solution, then it's not the right match and it's not going to last.
Right. And, I think if we could, both on the recruiting end and also on the hiring end, if we could be a little bit more flexible in providing options to individuals, because in my world, we sometimes get very rigid in a box about these are all the qualifications that we need, and this person has to look exactly like this, otherwise I'm not interested. Whereas recruiters can say, he or she maybe hits the mark at 75% or 80%. How can we work together to make sure that they're successful, that you're successful, and that the recruiting, arm is successful as well? I also think we don't understand the recruiting challenges to the degree that we should, and that recruiting arm does not understand the work challenges sometimes from our end. So sometimes I would want to say, geez, if we could just walk a mile in each other's shoes to have some real life experience around what we're doing, how great that would be.
Boy, from your lips to my heart. It's so true. It's so true. And I think the challenges are honestly parallel to each other. I really do. And you've got to identify talent. That's what you're trying to do, is identify talent. But if we don't ask, as the recruiter, if we don't ask the right questions, okay, we can't identify the right talent. And I don't know what the right questions are. You do, but I loved your ideas of flexibility because it appealed to something that literally for probably 37 of my 38 years of recruiting, I used the word, look, this person appears to have 75% of what why don't you have an exploratory conversation? And if they don't feel right, we'll walk away. It's not the right person. But too many people want to put things together as the exact solution. And I get employers and yourself maybe standing up and saying, you're not hearing what, I don't mind talking to this person. Because chemistry can fill that other 25%.
You're right.
Phenomenal.
You're right. Oh, you're absolutely right. And you know what? To be honest with you, there's also kind of that gut level instinct. And I've always listened to that sometimes just as much as what to your point, what's on paper, because I think there are some factors that you really can't define, but either experience or just, like you said, the connection between an individual can really make the difference. My concern these days is that there are some desperate sectors in care that people are minimizing what they need to the degree that they're just taking someone who sort of kind of fits, only to find out a year later you spent $60,000 on recruiting them, getting them in the door, and they're not a fit. So there are so many. Boy, I mean, it's like it's almost like whack-a-mole when you're trying to figure out the bigger picture on how to deal with this stuff. But sometimes with recruiters, this is the other good thing too, is establishing a good relationship between a hiring organization and a recruiting firm, and you learn to trust them. They get you. Like, they know what you want. They understand your mission. They understand the culture of your organization. And those people are gold to us.
Yeah, and boy, you hit on my soft spot, because forever it's been about building a relationship. The problem in building a relationship nowadays with technology, recruiters, for the most part, want to do everything by text and email and all this stuff. How does And I'm asking this as a general question, not for you specifically. But if I recruited in the medical field in your day, how would what would be the best way for me to contact you for the first time? You don't know me. We have nothing established yet. How do I establish that beginning to a potential relationship with you?
Well, from my perspective, so this is just Theresa talking. I won't speak for others, but from my perspective, it starts with some sort of credibility that you already have. So a reach out that shows that you've done a little homework. First of all, I'm always impressed with people who do a little homework on either my corner of the world or our organization or whatever. That's number one. So this kind of cold calling stuff doesn't appeal to me at all. Secondly, credibility in other organizations that have similar, that are kind of in our bucket, that we would consider colleagues, whether it be university settings or whatever. And even better, if we have some similar connection. Like, hey, I talked to the cancer director at Ohio State and she mentioned your name, that you might be interested in looking at some recruiting or whatever. That has to be a phone. It can be a phone call or an email, but it has to be something that grabs you, because I feel like you already know a little bit about me. You've done a little bit of homework, instead of what I get a lot of times is, a phone call out of the blue. Most of the time, not anymore, because I have a gatekeeper, but a lot of texts, or not texts, but emails that say, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'd be really interested in talking to you. And then they automatically go into their spiel on what they can offer, instead of, I know a little about your organization, like to talk to you about what you would need. I am much more attracted to that kind of stand, because you know what it's doing already? It's creating a relationship between us, instead of you trying to sell me something.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It really does. So and again, we're generalizing here, but using you as an example. So me as a recruiter reaching out to you, trying to present you with a potential nurse or such. You're turned off if I tell you about the credibility of the individual first? Or
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm not turned off by that. But I would say couch it in terms of seeking some exploration about what I need. Because sometimes I feel like there's an assumption you're just going to love this candidate. You're just going to, I've got this. And so there needs to be a sense of, I hope I'm fulfilling a need. What, am I on track? What am I missing? Is there a skill set or a trait or, something else? But kind of this, here's a candidate, without having any understanding of what really would work for me, makes me feel like we're not in a partnership.
right.
That you're just trying to plug a hole.
There you go.
You're trying to make a deal.
Yeah, I get it. And so I'm capturing, as long as the accomplishments of the candidate and sharing the benefit that could be for you would cause you to listen a little bit.
Yes,
Got it.
absolutely.
Got it.
Absolutely.
See, in my world, we refer to that, and that's in my world, not all recruiters, but in my world, that's called a FAB, a feature accomplishment benefit. I've got
That's called what?
a feature accomplishment benefit. And as I'm presenting it, it could be on a voicemail. I've got a cancer research nurse that did this over the last 5 years and could possibly bring this kind of value to you. Please give me a call at such and such. Would that capture your potential attention if it was something that you were responsible for?
Yes, yes. But it would even capture my attention more if you had some sense from a research background kind of thing, what was going on in my world. Like, hey, I noticed at the University of Nebraska Medical Center in Nebraska Medicine, you have a very large clinical research arm. I've got a cancer researcher, or I noticed that you just built a brand new cancer center. I bet you need cancer research nurses. See the difference?
Yep.
That really grabs my attention.
Yep. It's and
And you know what? It really, from my perspective, it doesn't take you really long to do that, because you can just Google something and in 5 minutes have enough information that shows me that you cared enough to find something out about our organization as you're trying to place this candidate in the right environment.
So with all the years that you've invested in your career, what would you like to, and we look back a little bit, and so let's look forward. What would be what would you like your lasting impact to be on the services that your organization offers?
You know what my lasting impact will be is when people don't remember who I am because what I have created or helped build is running so well and is hitting a home run on so many levels that the team that's behind me, the team that's still there is not missing a beat. So that would be for me, gold. It's not the other thing that that is really dear to my heart is I am a very, very strong advocate of mentoring and helping people rise above. So the other impact is to see people that I've mentored that are now in roles that have substantial impact on healthcare.
We could spend an hour and a half and argue giving, okay? But you are a gift. You really are a gift. I have one last question for you, Theresa.
Sure.
You obviously, because your passion just radiates out of every corpuscle you got. What do you do to let go? Because we all have to recharge. What do you do to recharge?
Well, here's the thing. I am a very, very balanced person. I don't work, I've never worked 80 hours a week. I feel like having balance makes me more passionate. So my balance is I'm a huge sports fan. I'm a huge exerciser. I have 5 grandchildren. I've got individual hobbies. I've got hobbies with my husband. I've got lots of family commitments. But it's I am not somebody who eats, breathes, and lives my professional life. And I'm not criticizing others who may have some imbalance in their life, but it doesn't work for me. I don't do my best work if I can't really back away from it.
Theresa, I want to thank you so very much. First of all, for what you do. Second of all, for taking the time out of your consuming day and your passionate day to spend with me and my audience. I thank you so very, very much.
How sweet are you? It's been delightful talking to you. Thank you so much.